Hey everybody, Vox Day here, the Darkstream, voxdata.blogspot.com. This is just a impromptu Darkstream. I'm still going to do the regular one tonight, but I just thought we'd do a little impromptu one here in light of what happened at Milo's event last night at the University of California, Berkeley. Now, what I want to point out and observe is that this is exactly what I expected. This is exactly what I talk about in the book SJWs Always Lie. And what we're seeing here is the SJWs doubling down. I'm working on that book right now. It's going to come out probably in March. SJWs always double down. The reason they double down is because that is their go-to strategy when the lies stop working. What's happening with the God Emperor's new reign is that it is representational of the lies that the left has been pushing on us for the last 50, 60 years, no longer working. Now, what do we expect them to do? You know, the left is not going to make rational arguments. The left is not going to make intellectual arguments. The left is not going to engage in dialectic. You cannot reason people out of positions they haven't been reasoned into. And so, the battle is just beginning. What's been happening over the last 50 years has not been a battle. It has not been a conflict. It has not been a war. It has been nothing but a retreat on the part of the right, because the right has been led, if you can even say that, the right has been led by cucks and cons, conservatives and cuckservatives, who have absolutely no idea how to defend, much less how to retake ground. They have no ability for that. If you read their books, if you read their works, if you read Russell Kirk's Conservative Mind, it is all very, very clear that conservatism never had any ability whatsoever to defend society or to even maintain a status quo. And so that's why it's important to understand that the conservative leaders, the Ryans and the Bushes and even the Reagans, were totally incapable of even maintaining a status quo. For all that we on the right tend to revere Ronald Reagan, all he really did was win the Cold War, which the West was bound to win anyhow, because the Soviet Empire was falling apart due to the contradictions of communism. And so, but internally, the 1986 amnesty deal that he did, and the way that he permitted immigration to explode, was extremely detrimental to the United States. No, Dennis Prager is not alt-right. Dennis Prager is, I'm not even sure you can reasonably call him a cuckservative, because he is heavily influenced by his, call it Judeo-Christianity. And so, the only answer is victory. The only answer is to roll back the advances of the left. And that is why the left is terrified. That's why the left is absolutely up in arms over the God Emperor, over Steve Bannon, over Milo. They are outraged because they know for the first time there are leaders who are able to push back. What Milo is doing, I kind of pushed back a bit at one of Chuck Johnson's tweets. He was talking about how Milo thinks he's winning because he's being banned, but what about all the other people who don't want to be threatened? What about all the other people who don't want to be silenced? And I pointed out to him, this is coming for everyone who is to the right of CNN, regardless of what they do, regardless of what they say. All Milo is doing is demonstrating to all and sundry, he is proving to everyone that the left is every bit as insane that people like me and people like Mike Cernovich and people like Steve Bannon say it is. Milo is, whether you like him or not, whether you approve of his ideology or not, he is making it very, very clear what the true face of the left is. And so, the ideological battle that the right did not fight and that the right lost has now been transformed into into a war of identity politics. This is absolutely predictable. It was predicted by many people, including me. The founder of Singapore said very clearly that any multiracial society, any multiracial, multireligious society inevitably descends into identity politics. And so, we don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. None of us do. The political battle is now all about identity. And, there is still an ideological component to it because various identity groups tend to incline more to the left and more to the right and so forth. But, it is time to start defending ourselves against Antifa, as they call it. They will call us brown shirts. They will call us Nazis. So what? They've been doing that for 20 years. They called Reagan a Nazi. I mean, ironically, do you know how far back it goes? They actually called Tom Dewey a Nazi. Now, most of you may not even remember who that is, may not even remember his name. So, anyhow, what I would encourage you to do is two things. Number one, you need to talk to your friends about it. You need to tell them, hey, look at what's happening. Look at what's happening. Number two, you need to get together with like-minded people. Get together with people who are loyal to the God Emperor, people who want to make America great again. You want to get together with like-minded people and then start preparing to defend yourself and your allies and your friends. Okay? It's very important. Another thing I'd strongly recommend you do, yes, this is self-serving, but nevertheless, go out and get the book SJWs Always Lie. At the very least, download the free PDF, the SJW Survival Guide, which is on my blog at voxdata.blogspot.com. Give it out to your friends, pass it around, because what's very clear, what we're seeing now, is that the SJWs are coming after your job, they're coming after your health and safety, they're coming after your family, they're coming after your friends. They're not just going after Milo. That girl, did you see that girl who got pepper sprayed? She was talking to she was getting interviewed by the media. The guy ran up and pepper sprayed her. They were all celebrating about punching Nazis because the guy attacked Richard Spencer twice on camera. Was this girl a Nazi too? How about the guy that got beaten unconscious at the airport in Portland? How about the guy who got beaten unconscious at Berkeley? Are they all Nazis? The left has always embraced violence. The left has always resulted to mass murder. If you look at, people like to talk about the Spanish Inquisition. One thing I wrote about in my book, The Irrational Atheist, back in 2008, was more people died. Far more people died. Orders of magnitude more people were killed by the 3 years of left-wing revolution in Spain than were killed in the 500 some years of the Spanish Inquisition. 3 years versus 500. Okay? So you need to be prepared because they are resorting to that level of violence. Sitting there talking about how, well, we all have the guns and that sort of thing. It's true, but it doesn't do you any good if your friend's gun is at home while you're out in the middle of a bunch of left-wing SJW rioting, violent mobsters who are going to attack you simply because you happen to have a Trump sticker on your car. It is going to get a lot worse. People that talk about unity don't understand that there is no unity anymore. There can be no unity anymore. They have imported literally millions of people who are coming from countries that are divided into warring factions. And so now that they're here, they can't, the people of the same identity are at war with each other. How can we unify with them? They can't unify with each other. They can't unify with us. There is no unity. But the fact that the country is divided doesn't mean that they can't conquer. It doesn't mean that they can conquer. Divide and conquer doesn't mean the person who does the dividing is necessarily going to win. We're going to win because we're not going to sit on our asses and do nothing like conservatives has done for the last 50 years. Yes, this is tribalism, and tribalism is scary, but it doesn't matter. If you have to deal with reality, and tribalism is natural. The only reason that we thought that this whole universalist ideology concept, the only reason we thought that was possible is because the United States had become so homogenous. We were down in 1970. We were down to 5% foreign born. Now it's all the way up to 15%. And so anyhow, it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. But that doesn't mean that the change is not ultimately going to be for the better. This is normal. Humanity has always, the history of man has always worked in a cycle. Things get better, things get easy. The easy of life breeds all sorts of lunatic ideas and weak and crazy people, and that's what makes things hard again. So we need to be ready for that. Now, a couple things. Yes, that's my point on in reaction to the Berkeley riots, and a couple other things. Reddit, as you're aware, has banned the alt-right, the alt-right subreddit. They've also banned, or they look like they're going to ban the Donald. What we're looking at doing at InfoGalactic is we're looking at basically taking the entire Reddit structure. We can do that because it's open source. We're looking at setting up a alternative to Reddit on InfoGalactic. And so if that's something that you're interested in, if that's something that you're interested in supporting, let us know. It's not something that was really on our list of things to do. We're actually quite busy with a number of other features that we're adding, such as InfoGalactic News, but it seems like that would be a good alternative. Vote does exist, obviously, but I don't trust them. I've seen too many indications that they are likely to come under pressure. Gab I trust. Brave I trust. I don't know the guys at Vote. Maybe they'll be good, but either way, there is an amount of some people have been expressing interest because InfoGalactic already has the big structure set up. It's something that we could add in as little as a week, and so anyhow, like I said, if you're a Redditor, and especially if you're somebody who is a moderator of a subreddit, get in touch, and we'll look into it. We haven't made a final decision yet. We're still checking out the feasibility. It's less the technological feasibility and more whether we have the bandwidth and some volunteers that are capable of handling it. So the other thing I wanted to mention is tonight's Darkstream is going to be a little bit more technical than usual. People have been asking me to go a little deeper and into some of the context. So what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to do the first part, the first section of free trade. We're going to talk about free trade. There's some new information that came out from Europe that really underlines some of the points that I've been making over the past 5 years. So if you're at all interested in economics or talking about the realities of free trade and going all the way back to Ricardo and looking at some of the flaws in the pro-free trade arguments there, we're going to do a multi-part series on that. I don't know exactly how many parts it will be, but part 1 will be tonight. Do I ever sleep? Yeah, I sleep very well. But as long as you're, I find that as long as you keep yourself well supplied with SJW blood, you really don't need that much sleep. Anyhow, another thing you might want to take a look at if you're interested in the free trade thing is go to voxday.blogspot.com. Look on the left sidebar. There's a free trade and a tag. You can hit that, and there's a lot of posts on it. You can read up on that if you want to prepare for that. A question: are you libertarian? I would refer to myself as an ex-libertarian. I still have a lot of libertarian ideals, but at this point in time, I would simply just describe myself as alt-right. If you look at the alt-right, go to my blog. Look up 16 points of the alt-right. It's all laid out right there. Hey, hang on a second. I'll show you the two books that you might want to take a look at. Let's see here. Okay, on the political side about conservatives and so forth, Cuckservative, How Conservatives Betrayed America. This is a good book. It really documents both what conservatism is. It also discusses why conservatism was fundamentally a defensive posture rather than a political philosophy per se. And it also explains why conservatism was doomed from the beginning. So it's a good book. It's a little bit more serious than maybe some people are looking for. That's cool. As far as the alt-right goes, I'm working with my friend Anthony. We're working on a book called Alt-Right Revolution that will come out this summer. And that will get into a lot of the details that people are curious about with regards to that. And then the other one, the one that I'd highly recommend that everybody read, get your hands on, it's the #1 bestseller in political philosophy. It has been for, I don't even know, since like August 2015. So the important thing is not the SJWs always lie part. The important thing is taking down the thought police. That's the important part. This is why InfoGalactic exists. This is why we've been focused on really addressing the way in which SJWs and the 3 laws of SJWs always lie, SJWs always double down, and SJWs always project. Those laws are explained, and you can see why these things are happening the way that they're happening. Somebody said, "Is it on Kindle?" It is on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and like I said, there's also a free. It's on Audible, and then you can also, like I said, find the free SJW guide, SJW Survival Guide. It breaks down the 8 stages of the typical SJW attack, and it also has the 8 things that you should do in response to those attacks. But the key thing is understand that what we're seeing here, what we're seeing today, or last night at Berkeley, what we're going to be continuing to see is the response, the doubling down that SJWs do when their lies no longer work. They can't convince us anymore. We know they're lying. And so now we have to be prepared for their doubling down. So that's my message for today. Thanks for stopping by on this little impromptu Darkstream without notice, but I thought it was important. Tonight we'll be talking about free trade. So if you get a chance, stop by, have a good day, and get out there and keep enjoying the winning.